I'm Mickey Ferrugiaro, and this is my little video on little tips on how to make my sliding hearts bracelet. So it's slid over leather, and these little sliders, you can make as many as you like, what fits your wrist, and I'm going to show you just the basics because it's very simple to make. I think you'll get it from the tutorial, but just to cover a couple of things that maybe are easier to see, easier to do once you've seen it. Okay, so what you want to do to start with is you're going to work a little bit of odd count peyote, and this is working with 9 beads. There's 5 black, 4 white, and you just do odd count peyote for 14 rows. And then at this point we're going to turn and we're going to do a little bit of emerald on one end. So to turn to get into the spot for that, we're going to go up through the black in the side and the next white. And then we're going to come back through that white on the edge, the last row. Okay, and now we're in a spot to start with a, let's turn it this way and we can do it, to start some emerald. And the first stitch is just a right angle weave stitch. So I have black, white, black. I'm going to go back through that white bead to form our first right angle weave stitch. Okay, and I'm going to step up, and I'm just going to step up through the white one. If we were going to do regular raw right angle weave, we would go through and step through those two. But with emerald, it's a little bit different. So we're going to add a black for our next row, and then we're going to add the 2 beads that we would normally add for our next stitch of right angle weave. And we're just going to come up through the white and the black, and then you're going to skip the black bead that you just added and go through the white one. Okay, and if you look at this, you can see that we have our right angle weave stitch right here, black, white, and then that black one is the bead that's going to be the peyote row next. Okay, so we're going to add the same thing again, black, white, black, and go up again. Up we go, make our stitch, skip the black bead and go through the white bead. One more like that, up through, skip the black bead and through the white bead. So that's what you're left with. Now on this black row we're missing the end beads, so we're going to put those in. So we're going to add 2 black beads and a white bead, and we're going to go through the black, the next black. So as we pull this around, make sure that lays correctly. You can see here that we've added the 2 blacks for the row, and then we've done 1 white for this next row that we're working on. So now we've got 2 more stitches in the white, and then we've got nowhere really to go here, so we're going to step down through that white bead, and we're going to kind of make the same turn we did at the end, 2 blacks and a white, and we're going to come through this way, so we're making a circle. Okay, and then we're going to go through the black so that it starts to lay correctly, and then we're going to go through the next black and through that white bead. Okay, and this gives us our black beads. Don't worry too much about how they're sitting right now, because as we work they get to sit a lot better. Okay, so now I've got black beads that are my up beads for this row. So I've got the 2 end beads, I need to fill the 3 in the middle. Turn that around here. Okay, and so here's 1, 2, and 3 to complete. Now I'm going to go through the white bead, and then I've got to skip down to the first of those black beads, so I'm going down. As I do that, you'll see it pops this edge bead more into the up bead position, and then I can turn into it. And then I'm ready to continue working odd count peyote. So this is what you do, and you're going to total it so that you have your 14 rows. You know, you work it till you've got 7 blacks, and then you have a white up beads. So that's your 14, how you know it's a 14 rows. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to continue working my rows here, and I'll be back when I'm ready to do some right angle weave. And here's my odd count turn. You see, I tell you, it pulls those beads into place when you're doing the turns. And then we'll come back after my 14 rows and we'll show you the right angle weave and joining the slider together, so it folds over and joins at this side. Okay, so back when we've done 14 rows. So here we are with our 14 rows on the second section. Now we're going to do a turn so that we can work the right angle weave. So I'm going to go through the black bead that's below, and then through that white bead, so it's the second black bead down, the second white bead down. And then I'm going to come back through that top white bead. Okay, and now we're going to work just some right angle weave. So it's 3 beads for the first stitch, and then we're going to step down to go through the next white bead on the beadwork. Then just 2 stitches, 2 beads added here, black and a white. Come around to form that right angle weave stitch, step up through the black one, and now we're going to add a white and a black through this one, up, big step down and through that last white one, and here we're adding black and white for our last right angle weave stitch. Okay, I'm going to step up through the white. Okay, now we're going to fold this over and join this together. So as I'm coming out the white, I'm going to go into row 1, the black beads, so the second one, so that we can zip this up through the next white and joining with the black. Zip stitch, the white and the black, the white and the black. Okay, so there you have your little loop that slides onto your leather. You can see that. That's a perfect fit for our leather. Okay, so now you're going to fold this and we're going to work the flap which forms the heart. So we're still going to be working into those 4 white beads. We're going to add a black and go through that last set of whites. So you can see they're the whites that were the right angle weave. You can see those vertical beads right there. We're in the white ones. So we're just going to work a row of 5 black into those whites. Now the last one we have to do our odd count turn. So there, back through that black one, and then our turn's completed. Okay, so if you can see how this is, when we put this on the side, so how it's going to lay, you can see these beads are standing off from those right angle weave beads right there. So they stand off. We're going to build into these. So our next row, just 4 of our white beads. Turn it over, and this row is going to be our first increase row. So we're going to work 1, 2 black stitches, then we're going to add 2 black beads into that center stitch. That's our increase. Then add 2 more stitches, and of course we've got a right angle weave turn. We've got an odd count peyote turn. So right angle weave turn. Losing my mind. Okay, so there's our turn complete, and you can see our little increase right there. That's going to form the point of our heart. Okay, so next row we're going to do whites. So we've got 2 whites. We're going into the first bead of that black pair. Then we're going to add 2 white beads, another increase, and then go through the second bead of the black pair. So we're increasing in the increase. And then we have 2 more stitches. Okay, now this is going to come over this side. It's going to flap away from the right angle weave. So you can point it in that direction because it'll help you get your beads in. When you're increasing, it's always, trying to get all the beads in there. So that's all there is to it. When you work a black row, you're going to work the beads in, put the 2 blacks into the center, increase in the increase, and then we've got 3, and then of course your white row, you'll work that with your white increase, and you can see how we're getting that point. As you work more rows, you're going to widen this out and go more to a point. So that's where that is going to work. Of course, I'm working on this one. This is a little stripy, the stripy section. In the tutorial, you'll see I've got charts for all the other designs. This is just to show you, how it actually works. Okay, so we're going to finish this row, and I'm going to work more until there are 13 increases, just in the same manner, so that we've got enough to cover down over our little slider. Oh, that's a tough one. Okay, that's our turn. So keep working these with the increases, follow your tutorial, make sure you've got the right numbers, and we'll come back to show you how to anchor the heart and put our safety chain loops on, that kind of thing. Okay, so keep working till you get your heart shape, and we'll be back. So here we are after 13 rows. So you can see you've got your nice heart flap that's coming over, and for the last row, row 14, we're going to work it in 15 delicas, size 15s, all in black, just to give it a nice little finish on the edge. And when you get down to the point, we're actually just going to put a regular 11 in, just one into that point. Because that's what we're going to use to attach, lock the heart down to the other side. So that gives us a little bit more space to do it. Stronger than a 15. So here we are, back up to the top. Okay, so that's got its nice edging on it. Okay, so here we're going to add a 3mm fire polish round. It could be any 3mm round bead. And as you're coming out of that last edge, you're going to go in, you're going to sort this out on the first black bead where we started. You're going to come in there. So this will pull, it'll pull that into a curve. And then you're just going to go up through the next black bead to it, cinch it in, go back through the 3mm, make sure it's cinched, and then go through the second bead up from the other side. So it sits in there. So you can see how nice it just sits into that little curvy doodad. Okay, and then we're going to weave down to hit the border again, hit the edge, and we're going to weave all the way down to the point. Getting short on thread here. Just weaving, it just strengthens the edging and gets us where we want to be. Okay, so you want to be coming out of that last point bead. Then you're going to add another of your 3mm beads, and as you fold it down over the little sliding section, you see that center bead from the right angle weave. We're going to go straight down there to anchor this in. So you see how that sits? The point hangs over, and then we're going to do a turn. So we're going to turn through the white bead, turn again. So we're kind of doing like a figure 8 sort of, so that we go around and then we can go back up through our 3mm. Sometimes a little tricky, you have to play to get it going through there. There we go. And then you want to come back, so look for where your thread is coming out of your point bead. You want to go in the other side so it's coming out the same way. So you're basically just continuing. And then you're going to weave up to the top so that we can connect the other 3mm at this point too. Okay, so weave up there, and I'll come back and just show you the finished thing. Now we're up to the top, we're going to add the second 3mm. And here I'm going to show you for the end, the two edge hearts, the two edge sliders, we need to add jump rings in so that we can add a little safety chain. So you might have hearts that are facing the different way, or you might have the hearts facing the same way depending on the size that you're making. So you can attach them in the point or in the shoulder. Doesn't matter, it's the same way that you do it. So as you're adding your 3mm, you just add your ring at the same time. And so here, as we're going through, and just adding it the same way that we did the first one. And go back through. Make sure you go through the 3mm and the jump ring, and then back through. And then you can weave your thread in securely. You see we've got that jump ring ready for us to attach our safety chain. Okay, you can make a couple more passes if you want to feel more secure, but then just weave your thread in, and that's all ready to be added to your leather. Okay. Alright, so we'll come back, we'll show you measuring the bracelet, you know, to get your length of your chain. There's, you know, it's just so that you can do the math on that and how to put the chain together. Okay. Once you have all your hearts done and you've got your end ones with your jump rings on, you can add the clasp. And the clasp just screws onto the leather. Now, these little screws can be a troublesome thing because they're so tiny it's hard to get a hold of them. So I picked up one of these at Walgreens. Inexpensive little screwdriver for your eyeglasses. And what you want to look is when you take this top off, it's got all these little screws in with these little plastic holders. And that's what helps, because if I unscrew and show you the difficulty here, when you've got this screw, trying to get it in to a magnet, it's very finicky. The magnet pulls everything. It's very difficult to do. So if you pop the screw into this little plastic thing, if I can get it in there, just drop it in and then put the lid on that, push it down with the screwdriver, push it down so that the head of the screwdriver, the head of the screw, or the threads are showing. And then you can just do this and screw it in. Alright, so you can get it most of the way in there and pop it off. So that saves a lot of grief. Just tighten it up then. Make sure they're tight. And there you go. So now we're adding the safety chain. I'm not going to show you how to do this, it's so simple. But the thing that is maybe a little bit more complicated is guessing the length of this. Because there's actually a formula, and what you want is the length of your bracelet, which you will measure before you put the safety chain on, and then you want to measure around your hand. This is like where you'd put a bangle on. Alright, so for me, I'm about 8 inches. Now my bracelet, if I measure from one side of the clasp around, I should do this on the inside. The length of it is 7 1/4. So I get to 7 1/4. And so I know I need 3/4 of an inch to make it the 8 inches that's going to go over my hand. So I know that my chain, this safety chain, is going to be 3/4 of an inch plus the distance between the jump rings. So here I'm looking at 1 1/4 inches. So this safety chain needs to be 1 1/4 inches plus 3/4 of an inch. So the difference between the measurement on here to the length of your bracelet plus this difference, the difference between your jump rings. So for me that was 2 inches. And that way it goes over my wrist nicely, but not too loose, because the idea of the safety chain is that it's not going to, if your clasp comes undone, it's not going to fall off your wrist. Otherwise there'd be no point in doing it. Okay, so there you go. So once it's on, let me get it on my wrist, not around my hand, and then I can just pop it on. My magnet doesn't want to connect here. There it goes. And there you go. So you've got that little safety chain on. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this, and maybe you'll check out the pendant that goes with this. Thanks.